2022 was a memorable year for Hugo Bloom. Indomitable as one half of the heavyweight Heartbreakers, he began the year as tag team champion and ruthlessly cut through all comers. May, however, saw the loss of both his title and his tag team partner Brad Tannen, leaving Hugo to search for new alliances. Bloom showed his mettle in memorable contests against international superstars the Saito brothers and current UBW tag team champions the Odyssey, but was unable to find anyone up to the challenge of replacing the heathen heartthrob. It was at this point that he struck out alone, and what a wise decision that proved to be. Besting 5 other UBW superstars, he ascended the Golden Shot ladder to take the briefcase and leave him poised to battle for any of the top prizes at a time of his choosing. With the world at his feet, it seemed 2023 would be the year that Hugo Bloom, a UBW original and pillar of the company, would fulfil his destiny and become the British heavyweight champion, as both he and UBW celebrated a decade of brilliance. But fate is a fickle mistress. No stranger to the rigours of battle, a recent clash saw Bloom requiring surgery and putting all plans of dominance and gold on hold. The Wrestling Outsider caught up with Hugo at Square One Academy to find out when we may see him back in action. So, Hugo Bloom, thank you very much for giving us some time to chat with you this evening.
Thanks very much for having me. It's a small honour to be on the Wrestling Outsider.
I can only apologise, it's not the boss sitting here, but hopefully at some point you'll get bossed in the near future.
Well, maybe one day. Maybe I'll be lucky enough.
Oh, you'll make a list, don't worry.
Yeah.
You're on to this. Sadly, you have me tonight because although we're looking at the 2023 is an exciting time, it's a landmark year for UBW and a landmark year for you as well in the fact that both of you are celebrating 10 years as a wrestling entity. I should be sitting here talking to you about you moving forward with your Golden Shot briefcase and taking the world title and standing at the top of the tree. But circumstances mean that we are not there. We are now nearly 8 weeks away from the events in Bulldog. That led you to be sitting here instead of downstairs in the ring. Can you tell me what happened?
Yeah, so it was 6th of May show, Bulldog Bash. As you said, 54 days from today, so it's been a long time now. But just did my match with Truman. Went to try and catch him as he was preparing for his spin side job, trying to counter that. Did catch him, but I miscalculated the angles and caught him fully with my left arm. And as soon as his 90 plus kilos coming down with gravity, met my arm. So sadly, my arm was the one that gave way and just snapped clean off the forearm. So yeah.
So that's the bicep
just bicep went from there, just recoiled completely up above. If you look at footage, you'll see I was wearing elbow sleeves, and there's some photographs from later on where you can literally see my bicep hanging almost over the sleeve where it completely detached. So
I didn't look back.
Thankfully adrenaline was flowing.
Yeah.
So the pain, whilst instant, was numbed somewhat by that adrenaline, but continued the match and of course got the victory. So
yeah, I have watched that back subsequently looking for the moment of injury, and I've seen you lift Truman on what I now know is your injured arm at that point. Yeah. In an upright position before you're dropping into the mat.
Yeah.
And it just seems crazy that adrenaline can take you that far through.
Yeah. It is. It's completely surreal feeling. Even trying to sort of recall back to sort of moments. It felt like I was in the ring forever after it happened. But thankfully it was in the sort of closing minutes of the match rather than the opening. Military pressing off my head. Wouldn't have been able to do that for sure. 100% would not have been able to do that with one bicep. But thankfully, just the adrenaline kicked in at the right time and carried me through.
Yeah, so crazily, after that, it's a short time before you then go into surgery.
Yeah.
How easy is that? How long does it take? What are they doing? Is it something you're aware of before you went in the procedure that would be undertaken?
So as soon as I actually injured myself, I knew I had detached my bicep. I study sports, I study lifting. I know what these injuries look like. I've torn muscles and stuff before, so I know what they sort of feel like. So obviously, as soon as I'd done it, I was straight off to A&E. I was actually in A&E whilst the show was still going on, and home again before the show back down, actually, because again, they took one look at it, agreed with what I had said I'd done, and you know, in an A&E setting of a hospital, there's nothing they can do for a detached bicep tendon. So of course, I then followed up with surgeons and stuff like that. But it was just over 2 weeks after that initial tear and that initial visit to A&E that I was lucky enough to have the operation done and repaired. So yeah, it was all done within the acute stage of the injury, sort of between 0 and 4 weeks is deemed acute. The procedure's much easier, the recovery's much better, the overall outlook of the procedure's much better in terms of regaining strength and mobility and stuff like that. After that 4-week period, which unfortunately, many are forced to go down the route of waiting for surgical slots. After that 4-week period, it's a different type of surgery altogether. They have to graft you a new tendon, and then your outlook isn't as good as well in terms of recovering percentage of strength that you had beforehand. So I was very fortunate.
Very fortunate. Yeah. So, in terms of the operation itself, do you know how long is the procedure? Is it something simple? I mean, looking at your scar, you can see on there, it's not a significant scar, but is it a keyhole kind of thing, or are we looking at full open surgery?
No, it's full open surgery. 90 minutes was the procedure. Being prepped for it, basically had a number of different scans, obviously to confirm just the extent of the damage, make sure there's no bone fragments or anything that had been torn off with the tendon, and that was all good. Then went into the procedure. I had a nerve block put into my neck to obviously numb the full left arm.
I remember the video you posted, basically saying how little you could feel.
Yeah.
And I think in the couple of days after you were letting on quite how much when that began to run out. It was some pain coming through.
But it was full general anaesthetic in terms of the actual procedure, but in and out same day. Again, like medicine and surgical procedures have come on so far in not a lot of years. So very quick procedure in and out.
And now we're sitting here. Yeah. We are 8 weeks out of injury, 6 weeks out of surgery, and we're still waiting. I assume you're still in that waiting time, recuperating, waiting for rehab to begin.
Yeah, so I've actually beginning of July, I've got a couple of appointments coming up, quite big appointments. So just checking in again with the surgeon, but also starting my physio. I've not been able to do any lifting or even stretching or any resistance band work, anything of any kind of strenuous activity. I've not been able to do any of that for the last 6 to 8 weeks. And so next week I'll find out a little bit more about what I can do and when. But I do know my physio is going to last at least 6 weeks.
So this is the latest of what must be many injuries you've suffered in the ring, whether just something that required surgery or just minor tears. Now, the risks and rigours of being a wrestler are great. It's fantastic to watch, and I'm sure it's fantastic to participate in, but there's a very real risk there. Can you tell us about some of the more common injuries and maybe some that you've suffered yourself?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, part and parcel of being in the ring for 10 years, with the best will in the world, or the training in the world, things can always go wrong. Accidents happen. I've sprained ankles in the ring before, just from landing awkwardly. I've actually torn my ACL and had that reconstructed in my right leg.
Was that recently?
No, that was, I think, 2018.
So it's been a good recovery from that as well.
Yeah, I tore it out in June, prehabbed it, so got it back to good working order, actually then wrestled on it in September. Surgery in October, and what was meant to be a year to a year and a half out, I managed to rehab it in 3 months and was back in the ring. That was actually, and the reason why I was back in the ring so soon was the opportunity came up for me and Brad to go and work in Germany.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the UK in which you've taken belts. You've gone on international tours and taken belts there as well. So it's it's a very impressive record, and that's just, I think, as I said in the intro to the video, 2022. You guys were the tag team champions. You're entering in 2023, and it's going to be a stellar year with you riding high.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the luck of the draw, I suppose.
Yeah, as I say, there is very real risk to it. Anyone coming through the academy, is told and shown that injuries happen, and best way is to try and basically prevent that from happening. I think other injuries I've had, maybe 4 or 5, maybe even 6 concussions spread across the 10 years. Tore quadricep muscle last year. That was in the tag match between us and Westside Heat. You might remember it.
I do recall
a little bit. Yeah.
I do recall at the end of the match you being helped away.
Yeah.
At that point, and obviously far more noticeable than the Bulldog.
Yeah.
Incident where you raise your hand in victory, not with the crowd not realising the other hand isn't something you can raise.
And I was again quite lucky that the quadricep injury wasn't a big tear. It was a minor tear, but took 6 weeks out of training. But then because I do as well for my own sort of sins, I put myself through strongman training. So being an athlete as well as a performer, again, it takes a whole nother toll on your body. But if you look at any major sports person or any sort of major athlete or performer, that injuries happen. It's part of the job, and we try and prevent them as much as we can, and just treat them as well as we can afterwards. But yeah, we do have to sort of brush it off and move on.
I mean, now past the physical rehab, you're in the mental of that rehab. And if we look back at the day after you tear this bicep from the bone, you're using one arm to lift a car downstairs here at the Square One Academy. And I've seen other videos, although you're a little bit away from rehab. Yeah, I can see you're involved here. There's a real camaraderie here at Square One Academy, and everyone wants everyone else to do well. It must be really frustrating to be separate from that and not be able to perform as you normally would. Yeah, part of that.
You've hit the nail on the head about the mental side of like the rehab. Just keeping motivation going and staying hungry for what's to come. Part of that struggle is sort of seeing and actually coaching others through both wrestling and through strongman and lifting without actually being able to physically show them. Sometimes physical description is great, but actually you just need to kind of get your hands on and show something, and even help other people with either their training or coaching and stuff like that. But not being able to do it, there's that continual itch that needs to be scratched. There's only so long I think you can go without doing that before it starts to take an impact mentally. And there are good days and bad days as part of this recovery, but I've just got to keep trying to remind myself that it's not a career-ending injury.
No, the ACL, you worked through that and
Absolutely.
then had the surgery. This is a different matter.
Yeah,
but obviously, so much part of your in-ring performance is around your upper body strength, your ability to lift people above your head, your ability to deadlift people on ladders. Yeah. We've seen some crazy feats of strength from yourself as well over many years. Yeah. But to have that taken away when you've taken, not for granted, but it's so much part of your armory. Yeah. The frustration, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. And just rewinding the bit about the one-armed car deadlift, that was a lot of like unnecessary bravado and just stupidity. But
still got some adrenaline from before.
Yeah, maybe, but put a lot of effort within the opening day for Square One. Just obviously not just myself, but others included in that as well. It felt super difficult to be there showcasing this place and then not being able to take part in any of the wrestling workshops, any of the strongman events outside, and I ended up being a one-armed barbecue guy. But I'm we were fundraising as well for charity at the same time, so I'm there flipping burgers with one arm and one arm in a sling, and I just thought, sod this, I'm going to lift that car with one arm. Yeah,
and you did.
But yeah, well, I didn't know I could do it.
It was there to be done.
It was there to be done. Yeah,
but I think the fact that you're still here, you're still involved.
Yeah,
the fact that you're able to show people that injuries occur, and that's part of not only everyday life, it's part of training, and it's part of the wrestling game as well. It's important that people understand that there are risks that you are taking on a daily basis, and say it's the smallest slip that made it happen. But where do we go from here? We're looking at a 10th anniversary show come September. We certainly had ideas that you might be throwing a case at someone in the near future to take that out. Do you have your eyes set on a particular date? Is there something in your head that you'd like to get to? We're going to see you, I have no doubt, at the 10th anniversary show, as we saw you at the first show 10 years ago.
Albeit in a different guise back then, Graham, but I just want to get back as soon as I can. But at the same time, you know, this isn't the first injury I've ever had. I know I can't rush it back. I said about rehabbing my knee after sort of 3 months and getting back in the ring. Again, I don't know whether that was too soon. Obviously, the doctor said it was too soon, but again, I don't know how much of that was sort of stupidity and thinking, you know, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. I can rush it in. And, you know, I got away with it. It's fine. It's intact still. But I think I have to sit and realise as well. Every year that I'm going on, I'm getting older. My body's not going to recover and heal as quickly as it once was. So, you know, is it going to be 3 months? Is it going to be less than 3 months? Who knows at this point? But I want to get, yes, I'll be at the 10-year anniversary show. Whether I'll be there in a wrestling capacity or otherwise, you know, I can't really say just now. But I'm just taking every day as it comes at the moment and just sort of taking small wins. You know, just being able to turn over my arm again is a small win.
Which you did for us just then.
Yeah, you're welcome. But initial struggles included, you know, putting your socks on. How many people sit at home and put their socks on with just one hand? They don't, do they? And so not being able to actually do that was, again, just reminds you of the simplest of things that you take for granted in life can be taken away at any minute. And even more so when you involve yourself in something as crazy as the wrestling world.
Well, I mean, when we come to September, I don't want to say that even one-armed you may be able to take whoever's the incumbent there. The time will tell who we have standing at the top of the tree there, but I do hope that I'm there ringside when you cash in and that it's successful.
Oh, thank you very much. No, I appreciate that.
Hopefully, we'll be back very soon here at Square One to catch up with Hugo to see how the rehab's going and an imminent return to the ring to cash in that Golden Shot title opportunity. In the meantime, stay in the know with the WA.